certainly be damned if I.
Well, it's very simple.
Take sovereignty to a deity.
Right, it's very simple, sir. If you choose to live your life separate from God, he's not going to force you to spend eternity with him. That'd be horrible, wouldn't it? If you want to live your life separate from God...
Am I going to be in limbo then? I mean, like...
You're going to be separate from him, and Jesus described that as being hell.
Well, thanks.
Well, that's from him, man. It's not me. I didn't make that up. I'm just delivering his mail.
I think it'd be kind of ridiculous to like hold strong to like certain views like that are projected in the Bible.
Right.
I mean, it's not like saying that I'm completely denouncing the whole like scripture and everything because it's a philosophy of life, you know.
Yeah.
And but I think it's also really like kind of naive to like just go word for it, you know. It's just like, well, this has got to be it, you know. Like, what do you guys say about that? I don't know, because like you were saying, I don't know why. Restrict.
Right, why restrict? So my point to you is, I love a lot of different women. What's wrong with just wanting to have sex with any good-looking woman that I happen to love that I can?
Well, do you feel that a person like can consist with another person with love 100% throughout their whole life? Do you feel like you will never have a falling out with your spouse if you were to have one? And like you feel like everything is not circumstantial? Because I feel like it is. Situations where you have a guy that you were talking about, like he would find a new girlfriend if she got in a wreck that night. But there are guys out there that if she were to get in a wreck, would stay with her. I mean, it's completely circumstantial.
Good.
What I'm just saying is like, are you saying that it's not?
I was trying to hit a chord in you and in everybody else where we realize to view a person simply as a good-looking babe or a good-looking stud is pretty dehumanizing. It's really trash on a person. When God created our sexuality, he created us to enjoy sex within the context of a commitment with another person, not with a Barbie doll, not with a stud.
Well, that's what I'm saying, person, like...
Person.
It's open-ended, and that's what I'm saying.
Okay, but according to the scriptures, when God gave us our sexuality as a beautiful gift, he gave it to us for the purpose of one man and one woman making a lifelong commitment to each other, and then enjoying sex within the context of that lifelong commitment.
Well, I understand. Well, that's what. Well, okay. But what I'm saying is like it could develop, and that's what I'm saying. Like it is turned. Well, I'm just saying it's like completely dated in a way. Like if he had made the love, the whole concept of love between man and woman, it could evolve, and that's what I'm saying. Like. To like stand strong, and that's what I'm saying. Like I think you evolve into like a man loving a love.
Sure, and I can evolve to the point of loving to have sex with little boys, and I can evolve to the point of loving to have sex with a horse or a dog. But according to Jesus Christ and the Scriptures, that's not the purpose for which God gave me my sexuality. According to Christ and the Scriptures, the purpose.
That's what I'm saying. Like development, like the building on.
I could go home and have sex with my dog and exercise my free will. That's possible. But according to Christ, it's a perversion of that gift of human sexuality. God did not create me to have sex with my dog. But I could do it, you're right, I got a free will.
Do you think it's perverse to like make subcultures to like you get so many separate like branches of Christianity? Because there's like you've got like Protestant, you've got like you know what I'm talking about, like it's splintered. Do you think that's perverse to like take in a different direction? To look at a different way, to look at a man and a woman in a different light? You think that's perverse?
Well, it's the question of, did God create sex? If God did create our sexuality, what's the purpose for which he created it? Now, if God didn't create sex, then I hope you're not going to laugh at me if I want to have sex with my dog. Because if I'm an accident and my dog's an accident, there's nothing wrong with my dog and me having sex. All right? And if I want to have sex with little boys, and we're all accidents, there's nothing wrong with me having sex with little boys. But if there is a God who created our lives for a purpose and created our sexuality for a purpose, then I better figure out and find out what's the purpose for which God made me. What's the purpose for which God gave me my sexuality? Now, according to Christ, God did not give me my sexuality to have sex with my dog, sex with many different women, or sex with another man. According to Christ and the Scriptures, God gave me my sexuality to enjoy with one woman within the context of a lifelong commitment. That's marriage. Now, obviously, if Christ is blowing smoke, I'm not going to follow it.
Well, I'm not suggesting that at all, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like some parts of the Bible are dated.
There we
That's what I'm
go.
saying, because, like, there's definitely, like,
Right.
sexism in the Bible, but yet we have turned, like, overturned to that.
Oh, wait a second. There's rape, adultery, and murder in the Bible. The Bible's not saying go out and do likewise, and you're absolutely right. There's sexism in the Bible, but the Bible's not saying go out and do likewise.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in the sense of, like, it was the fundamental, like, education. You're subconsciously influenced by everything around you. These people had to write the Bible, and so therefore it's like there's certain biases in the process of writing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just like it's dated in that context between like this is like somebody writing like a chapter nowadays. It would be completely like I don't know, like left compared to like what is right and what was then. You know what I mean?
So who's the authority when it comes to morality and ethics?
Well, depending on like who do you think is the author, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but who's the authority for your life when it comes to deciding what's right and what's wrong?
Oh, me.
Exactly.
Completely.
Okay.
And that's what I'm
completely
saying.
Right. So you see, my point is, are you sure that you are that reliable that you should put your faith so preeminently in yourself?
Yeah, why not? I mean.
Okay, well, let me tell you why not for me.
Well,
The reason that I trust Christ ultimately and not myself is because I'm not too intelligent until it comes to rationalizing whatever I want to do,
okay.
and then I turn downright brilliant. If I want to do something bad enough, I can find a reason for it. I'm a slippery rascal. And guess what? One of the reasons I feel so comfortable sharing that with you all is because you're not too different from me. We can rationalize whatever we want to do badly enough. You know that guy? He's got too much money. Stealing a little bit from him? No problem. You know, he went to a better high school. Therefore, me cheating off his exam, totally fine.
Well, don't you think?
I can turn downright brilliant when it comes to rationalizing whatever I want to do.
See, cool.
That's why I can't put my faith ultimately in myself.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, like self-worth. I mean, like I feel like it's circumstantial in the sense that you're saying that somebody that has a courageous like self-worth and like for instance myself, I think I could do anything as long as I have the right motivation, the right effort to put into exerting the right force. I can do as much as I can. I mean, like the sky's the limit to what you can do for yourself. But it's saying that if I don't have I don't mean this in a negative way, a crutch of religion on my side, then I'm going to be damned in the long run. It's just like
What's the basis of your self-worth?
Self-worth is
Yeah.
to make sure that like I understand that this is completely like butterfly effect, that like I influence everybody around me and everybody influences me, and that I don't want to be like detrimental to anybody. I don't want to hold anybody back, and it's therefore I'm not holding myself back. So
Do you believe that you're an accidental collection of atoms?
I do believe I'm an accident. I mean,
Okay. So you believe you're an
my
accident.
parents told me that.
So
but-
if you're an accident, how can you talk about self-worth?
well, self-worth, this is what I've got. This is what I got to work with, and that's what I'm saying. I'm conscious. I'm not saying I'm not. Hey, what's up?
So it's what you've dreamt up in your head.
Well, how do you know this is not a dream if we're talking about dreams? You know what I mean?
Great
But-
point. I might be a bad dream you're having right now.
Well, no, definitely not. This is every conversation is a beautiful thing. I mean, just because you have different views doesn't mean it's, you know.
Well, thank you. I'm a good dream you're having.
That's cool, dude. That's cool. But
Yeah, but I'm going to press you to be consistent. If you genuinely believe that you're an accident,
all right, cool.
you can't talk to me about your worth and value as being real. Maybe that's a nice dream.
Okay.
Maybe that's a nice prejudice. But in reality, you're an accident. You don't have worth. Right?
Well, I feel like that holds like accident, like words. There's so much meaning to like one word. Accident is kind of like a very negative stance in this conversation we're having right now. I don't feel like it's such a negative connotation. I feel like accident, what we're saying right now, it's like a collective amount. I mean, like it doesn't mean that there's some matter that comes in the end. You know what I mean?
All right? Well, let's put it this way.
It did.
Let's
happen.
say that you have a horrible racist attitude towards this woman.
All right.
And I tell you, that's wrong.
Okay.
And you say, Cliff, why is that wrong? And I say, because I've given her worth. She has worth. I give her value.
Cool. I understand that.
You have every reason to look me in the face and say, yeah, so what? I don't give her that same value you do. But if, in reality, there's a God who created this woman for a purpose, and because he created her for a purpose, she has innate value, then if you or I dump on her, that is absolutely evil. Because we are attacking a human being who has been given dignity by God.
Well,
but if she's just an accident.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, why do you have to sell fear? Why can't I be like, you know?
Fear?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're making like.
It's not fear.
Okay, hold on.
No, it's a question of what's real.
Well, I'm just saying, like every situation you put out there, it's very negative. That's what I'm saying. Like.
Yeah, racism is negative.
It's
correct.
very negative. Well,
right.
You know, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Very real. In this world.
Okay. But what I'm saying is like, back to the point I made earlier, like. I don't hold to any faith right now, you know? I mean, like, I've yet to...
Yes, you do. You told me you do.
Well, other than myself.
You have faith in yourself.
I'm talking about, like, you know, the book, you know, a book.
Yeah, the book, yeah, the Bible. You don't... Right.
Guidelines, you know what I mean?
Right. You may communicate
saying,
that clearly.
Like, in the guidelines, it states that, like, I'm damned, you know what I mean? But the fact is, like, I don't wish upon any harm onto her, you know what I'm saying? So why would I necessarily be damned if I...
Well, it's very simple.
Take sovereignty to a, you know, a deity.
Right, it's very simple, sir. If you choose to live your life separate from God, he's not going to force you to spend eternity with him. That'd be horrible, wouldn't it? If you want to live your life separate from God...
Am I going to be in limbo then? I mean, like...
You're going to be separate from him, and Jesus described that as being hell.
Well, thanks.
Well, that's from him, man. It's not me. I didn't make that up. I'm just delivering his mail. And what Jesus said is God loves you. He's so good, he gave you this incredible gift of life. The ultimate injustice is for you to say, you know, get out of here. Wait a second. Wait, don't get out. He loves you, man. He gave you this incredible gift of life.
But how can I get out of here? Well, what I'm saying is, like, how can I get out of here if, like, this is his creation, you know? I mean, I'm here. There's no way to escape. And if everybody affects me and I take in everybody what they, like, give to me, I'm, like, absorbing all that, it's hard to say that I'm not a part of that. And I'm not saying that I'm denouncing it.
Right.
I'm not, how can I, what I'm saying is, like, how can I turn my back on it?
Because you got a free will, man. You don't have to do anything. You choose to do what you choose to do.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's like you can't escape it, and that's what I'm saying.
That's right. You didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be born. You didn't ask to have your parents. I didn't ask to have my parents. You're absolutely right.
All right, cool.
Now, do the best you can with what you got. And the message of Christ is he loves you. He wants to live in relationship with you. He's got eternity out there in heaven for you. Don't look the gift horse in the face and say, no thank you. No, trust him. Receive him.
All right. So hang in there, buddy.
You too, man. Good talking.
I just want to know, you know, I'm Jewish, and, well, I was wondering, am I going to go to hell?
Oh, guess what? I worship a Jew.
Kidding.
No,
I'm
not kidding. I worship a Jew.
So what's that mean? Shouldn't you be like bowing down to me or something? I mean,
no, you're not the Jew that I worship, so I'm not gonna bow down. Yeah.
So, well, what do you think? I mean, what's that mean for me?
What does it mean for you? I'll tell you exactly what it means. At the root, you're not Jew, he's not black, and I'm not white. At the root, you're a human being, he's a human being, and I'm a human being.
All right.
You cut yourself, you bleed. He cuts himself, he bleeds. I cut myself, I bleed. All three of us are created in the image of God. Now, we all three have sinned. I'm not better than you. I'm not better than him. He's not better than me. He's not better than you. We all three have sinned. Now, Jesus says that God loves all three of us so much that he sent his son Christ to bleed and die on a cross to forgive us and to give us eternal life. Now, this black man and this white man and this Jew have a decision to make. How are we going to respond to Jesus? Obviously, if Jesus was lying, doesn't matter how you respond to Jesus. But if Jesus was speaking the truth, his eternal destiny, your eternal destiny, and my eternal destiny hinge upon what we do with Jesus. That's why he's got to read the Gospels for himself. He can't take it from me. He doesn't know me from Adam. I've never met the man before. You can't take it from me. You got to go and read about this first century Jew, Jesus of Nazareth. And you got to figure out, was he blowing smoke? Was he lying? Or was he speaking the truth? He's got to decide that for himself, and I got to decide it for myself.
So what you're saying is that if I read into this, I'm going to be like saved?
Yeah, that's exactly what Jesus said. If you believe in him, he will save you from despair and give you hope. He will save you from guilt and forgive you. He will save you from death and give you eternal life.
So what you're telling me is that if I'm to read this, then I'm going to get sent to this like eternal place of just happiness. I mean, how does he know what's happy for me?
Oh, good question. That's a great question. The God who created you is so good and loves you so much. He's so wise and so intelligent that he's in the position to give you the best.
You see, that's like crazy though. I mean,
why is that crazy?
Because people are entirely too different for there to be one place where everyone's universally happy. Like, are you kidding me? One man's treasure is another man's, you know. So it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I would personally think that if you were to go to this next life or whatever, afterlife,
right,
or whatever, then everybody, it's all personal. Like, I could be hanging out with a guy who's, who hates life. He's in hell, and I could be in heaven. It's just one place. It's just, I think it's completely ridiculous to say that, there's one place where everybody can just be happy.
Okay. All right. Well, I would plead with you to consider the fact that you have a mom and a dad, he's got a mom and a dad, and I got a mom and a dad. And my folks are not doing real well right now. Death is not too far away for either one of them. I don't like that. And I think if you're willing to think about your life deeply enough, you'll realize that the thought of your own parents dying isn't too thrilling to you. And I think he's the same way. Now, if there's life after death, where we can be reunited with loved ones who we really treasure and value, I think you'd be really interested. I think he'd be really interested. And I can promise you, I'm really interested.
It doesn't really answer my question, though. I mean,
obviously, sir, what I'm telling you is, what color the wallpaper is really doesn't matter. I want to see mom and dad, and I think you do also.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's another one. I mean, like, you ever heard of, you know what deja vu is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you ever think that, like, maybe the moment, you die, like, it's just like, you're instantly, like, reborn, as yourself. Like, it's just like a continuing, cycle, maybe.
Oh, no.
Why not?
I think, well, maybe you're right.
How do you explain deja vu?
I think that in my next life, I'm going to be Michael Jordan.
No,
because I love to play basketball.
But you see, that's not possible because you're you. What if you have to come
I'll
back
be the white Michael Jordan.
Well, I mean, that's ridiculous.
What do you mean ridiculous, man? Come on, man, that's my trip. That's what I believe. I think I'm going to come back as Michael Jordan.
Huh?
I think I'm going to come back as Michael Jordan. White Michael Jordan.
No, you come back as yourself.
Yeah, the white Michael.
Well, is your name Michael?
No, my name's not Michael.
Well, then you can't come back as white
My
Michael.
point is, if you really want to just say it's all just a question of what we make up, well, I'll make it up. I like basketball. I'm coming back as white Michael Jordan. Obviously, there's no evidence to support that.
No. You see, no. What I'm saying, you're not hearing me right. I'm not saying like you die and then like, as soon as you die, you come back as like a new person. I'm saying like, how old are you? Like what? Like 50?
Man, you're good.
All right.
Here, you nailed that baby 1 year off.
Up or down?
Unfortunately, I'm older than 50 by 1 year.
Too bad.
It is too bad.
Well,
I'm envious of your youth.
See, what I'm saying is that what if you were to die like now?
Yes.
Like right here.
Yeah.
And as soon as you died, you would just instantly go back as yourself, like the moment you were born, and it was just a continuing cycle. Like so like instead, so like you would die right here, and then, like next second it would be like 1955.
Yeah.
And
well, if you're going to say that, why are you ticked with me for saying I'm coming back as a white Michael Jordan?
Well, because you can. It's just a continuing life. Like.
Yeah, but you have no evidence to support that.
You have no evidence to support yours.
Exactly. There's not a shred of evidence I'm coming back as a white Michael Jordan. That's exactly what I was saying.
There's not a shred of evidence
isn't
coming back at all.
Totally ridiculous. Oh, no. No. To believe in resurrection is not totally ridiculous.
Why?
Because historically, the dead Christ came back. He rose from the dead. That's the only reason, real reason, I believe in life after death. Because historically, the dead Christ came back. I ain't going to be the white Michael Jordan coming back. I know that. But I do know I'm going to have life after death because Christ promised that to all who trust in him, and then he backed up that promise with a resurrection from the dead.
How can you take that as evidence if it's coming from the word of a man? You can take it as an idea and run with it and investigate it. I give you that. But you can't take it as any kind of proof.
Well, it's been my privilege to debate Muslims. And I can promise you, sir, part of my debate with Muslims is not nice story about Muhammad, but it's just a story. Because that's not true.
Okay.
Muhammad is not an Arab story. Muhammad is a real human being, really lived, really taught. The Quran is a very accurate presentation of what Muhammad communicated, very accurate. So for me to say to a Muslim, nice story, I can't do that. Why? Because the evidence is this is historically reliable. The same is true for the New Testament. The overwhelming evidence is the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are historically reliable. Now, of course, there's a philosophical problem. And the philosophical problem is naturalism. And naturalism teaches us all that the only part of reality is matter and energy. And we all know that if matter and energy is all there is, that dead people don't rise. When dead people die, they just disintegrate. And then we read about this resurrection. Now, we forget about historicity. Instead, we're so biased with our philosophical presupposition of naturalism that we say it's impossible. There's no way the dead Jesus could have risen from the dead. It's not an historical problem, it's a philosophical problem. It's real clear. The philosophy of naturalism teaches all of reality is matter and energy. And we all know dead people don't rise. But the historical evidence is that dead Christ really rose from the dead. Now, the only way that can happen is if there's a supernatural God. So you see, then we're right back into this philosophy of naturalism versus supernaturalism. Do I believe there's some type of God, or do I not?
Right, so what you're saying is you have to take what the Gospels say as true and accept that before you can accept the rest of it?
No. What I'm saying is, first of all, philosophically, you've got to move from naturalism to allowing for the supernatural. Okay. And then secondly, you've got to put together some tests to determine whether the Gospels are historically reliable or not.
What kind of tests do you have?
4. Internal consistency, literary style, archaeological evidence, and manuscript evidence. First one, okay. Internal consistency. I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I'm real grateful there's not one. 4 different ones. I compare them. If they're contradictions, I got a problem.
Right.
But I read them, and there's a tremendous internal harmony. Second test, literary style. Once upon a time in the land of Nod, Jesus went out with Peter. No. At this time, in this place, with these people around, Jesus said this to Peter. Historical narrative is the literary style, not fairy tale, mythology.
Right.
Third test, archaeology. We're not talking about the island of Atlantis where Jesus was born. We're talking about Bethlehem, Nazareth, Jerusalem, Rome. Archaeologically verifiable places. Fourth test, manuscript evidence. Hanky-panky by the popes in the Middle Ages, man. Motivated by political drive, they totally perverted those Gospels beyond recognition. False. Well, why do you say that, Cliff? False. Because the New Testament that we have in English today has nothing to do with the Latin Vulgate out of the Middle Ages. The New Testament we have today is based on over 5,200 Greek manuscripts or pieces of manuscript dated from the 1st through the 10th century AD. Take those 4 tests together, the overwhelming evidence is not that the Bible's a word of God, doesn't say anything about that.
Right.
Simply the Gospels are historically reliable. Read them as history and ask yourself, does the historical evidence point to the dead Jesus rising from the dead or does it not?
I'm a student, sir. I'm a history student. I've had the opportunity to read a lot of text, a lot of native text.
Good.
Native text talk about what happened to him. And you have to discount the supernatural.
Oh,
Because
why do you discount the supernatural? Why?
Where do you see it around you right now? If someone's coming back from the dead?
Wait a second. How does history teach you that you have to discount the supernatural? How does history teach you that?
Evidence. That's all I can...
No, sir. The existence of the supernatural has 0 to do with history. It has everything to do with philosophy and theology.
Which are great subjects, fun to study.
Well, then don't stand there and tell me that it has to do with history. It has nothing to do with history. It has everything to do with your philosophy and theology. No, I'm asking you to be historically honest. And understand that the Gospels are historically reliable because you put them through tests. What are your tests that you use as a history student to determine whether a document is historically reliable?
As much evidence as I could find through reading one book or another book on a subject. Read multiple books on a subject.
Good. We got 4 of them. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, multiple books.
Well, you know, I read, so let's say I read about the Cortez conquering of the Aztecs.
Yes.
I've got the Spanish account and I've got the native account.
Good.
The native account is full of all this supernatural stuff that they believed in.
Yeah.
There's no account of that in the Cortez account.
Fine. So you read the Gemara, which is a very hostile record of Jesus. But at least they have the honesty to say, and he performed a lot of miracles, but he was a fraud. Yeah. And you read the great Jewish historian Josephus in Antiquities 18.3.3, and he talks about This is historical Jesus who died and then rose from the dead, supposedly. And all of a sudden you're going, wow, this Josephus didn't believe in Jesus, but he's talking about this historical resurrection maybe happening. So you got to start opening your mind and saying, I better go back and be honest about my philosophical presupposition, and is that really coloring my view of the text? I can't look a Muslim in the face and say, you want to know why the Quran is wrong? Because it talks about God. I mean, good gracious, what a philosophical bias.
Good.
Yeah, and be intellectually dishonest. That's real intellectual dishonesty. You know, Muslims, the reason the Quran is wrong is because it talks about God. Oh, gosh, that's so narrow-minded, it's scary. That's my naturalism and materialism coming right to the fore, and I'm just so biased by my philosophical presupposition, it's incredible.
Okay, I see you're pretty much promoting a Christian, approach to religion.
Good observation.
Okay. What makes you think as a mere human, we're all human here, we're all going to die someday.
Right.
None of us is endowed with any spiritual properties, connections to the supernatural that nobody else has. So what makes you think that you know the secrets of life and can tell all of us what we don't know? When you can't do any miracles here, all you're doing is talking. Any of us can go up here and talk about anything we want. It doesn't make it true. You're nothing more than a human, just like all of us.
Bravo. Well put.
So what makes you think you know the secrets of life and can tell everybody else about it?
Good. I do not know the secret to life. Do not put your faith in me. Do not give me your money. You'd be an idiot to follow me and put your faith in me. But Jesus Christ.
Okay, look right there.
The evidence is Jesus Christ is reliable. You'd be very wise to, for yourself, read the Gospels, examine the evidence that points to his credibility, and put your faith not in me, but in Christ.
Okay, a lot of us have Christian backgrounds. That's just their culture. A lot of people have Muslim, different religions. They were all brought up teaching that was the right way. That's what you think. That's what they think. What it turns out when you get down to the bottom of it, it's nothing more than I think, I believe. It doesn't make it true. You can believe whatever you want. Having faith in something does not prove it or validate it.
Exactly.
Okay, so you can believe in Jesus, Muhammad, whoever you want. It doesn't make it real beyond your own head. And,
Right.
So you can go rant and, go on and on about how real Jesus is, how real Muhammad is. It doesn't make it real. It's just a person talking. Jesus is real.
Fine. Fine, man, wait a second. That's just fine. But the historical evidence is that Muhammad really lived.
Right. So,
And the historical evidence is that Jesus really lived.
They may have lived, but it doesn't mean that they were some supernatural.
That's correct. You're right.
And, just because you say it doesn't make it true.
That's exactly right. That's why if you listen to what I said, I did not say, believe in Jesus because I do. No, no, no. I think you'd be a fool to believe in Jesus because I do. Instead, what I've asked you to do is, with an open mind, read the source document, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and ask yourself, does the historical evidence point to Christ being reliable or not?
Okay, well, Christ has only existed for 2,000 years. Christianity has only existed for 2,000 years, more or less. What do you think that millions of people all over the world, before Christianity was even thought of, followed their own religions devoutly, passionately, just like you did?
Yes, sir.
It didn't make it real.
Yes.
It didn't make it, they'd go to heaven or whatever. It didn't make any of it happen beyond their own culture, beyond their own society, beyond their own environment. They could be Incans or, whatever culture they were raised in.
Right.
This is pre-Christian.
Yeah.
Just because Jesus is the flavor of the month doesn't mean that it's true.
That's right.
5,000 years from now, maybe Christianity may be forgotten, or maybe something else. Who knows? Just like religions have passed on, religions have, gone in and out of fads and whatever. It's the same thing. It's a human cultural property that's nothing more than a figment of our culture.
Good. So you've just communicated your faith. And your faith is religion is simply a cultural additive. Different cultures have different religions.
Right.
You can't prove that. It's a faith that you have.
That's true. You look all around the world, there are different religions. All of them have identical things. People like you that are promoting one over the other, claiming, one is superior to the other. None of them have anything other than their talk. They don't have any proof as far as numbers. They can say, you can't put God in a jar and measure it.
Right.
Okay, so as far
Can't
as
put love in a jar and measure it either.
But as far as being a physical thing,
right,
God is not provable. It only exists in your head. It cannot be demonstrated scientifically.
That's absolutely correct. You cannot scientifically demonstrate God.
There you go. Therefore, it's nothing more than what's in your head.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would you please prove to me that unless you and I can scientifically prove something, it's not true?
Well, as far as I'm thinking, you're talking about eternal, your eternal destination. Why should you leave something that important to something you can't prove, something you're going to take on faith? Why are you going to leave your soul's eternity to something I'm just going to believe and hope it's true.
Okay, now let me ask it again. Please scientifically prove to me that unless we can scientifically prove something is true, it's not true.
Well, you know, as far as 2 + 2 = 4, that's accepted to everyone. We can put 4 things and count them. Anyone will tell you there's 4 things there. But as far as like, I believe in Jesus and blah, 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 no one, that's an individual thing. And it doesn't go beyond the individual. You know, it's like I like chocolate or I like vanilla. It doesn't matter. There's no proof that vanilla is better than chocolate, vice versa. It's all an individual opinion, a concept of the individual.
Now, let me ask it again. Please scientifically prove to me that unless we can prove something scientifically, it's not true.
What you're saying is really not even a question. You're saying scientifically prove that unless something is scientifically provable, it's not true.
That's what you're saying. Now I'm asking you to prove it to me.
Well,
You're standing out here saying, come on, man, all these religions, it's all just a cultural thing, it's all just blah, blah, blah. And you are saying, from your educated, superior viewpoint, you look out on all the cultures of the world with all their religions, and you as an educated white Westerner have the intelligence to realize it's all just a cultural bias. That's all it is. And you have as your big, big faith position, unless you nitwits, ignoramuses around the world, can scientifically prove that it's true. Guess what, nitwits? It ain't true. Now I'm asking you, in all honesty, please prove to me that unless you or I can scientifically prove something, it ain't true.
Okay.
Or, sir, is that your cultural bias?
here's the trick. If you drop a ball, it will fall to the ground. That's the law of gravity. Anywhere in the world you drop a ball, it will go on the ground.
Good.
These are scientific principles. They're repeatable. They're provable.
Good.
There are numbers involved. They're measurable.
Great.
There are laws that govern what the ball will do, how fast it will fall, at what speed, when it will hit the ground.
Right.
And all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's scientific. That's not something that says, I believe it, so it's true.
Good. Sir, right now, in your discussion with me, you are not using science. You are using logic. You cannot scientifically prove to me that your logic is true. Sir, when you go home and relate to your roommate, your relationship with your roommate has nothing to do with science. It has everything to do with trust, love, loyalty, and commitment, none of which you can scientifically show. Don't you see, sir, that science is a wonderful branch of knowledge? It's a beautiful branch of knowledge. But it is so narrow. It is so limited. What's a scientific date like? Do you enjoy a scientific date? No, I doubt it very seriously. Does your family life run on science? I doubt it. Scientifically, prove to me that Napoleon fought the Battle of Waterloo. Scientifically, prove to me that Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. Come on, sir. You can't do it.
Well, here's another, just interesting perspective. If you look on a globe, Richmond is a small city among the whole world. What would make you think that of all the people in this world, somebody standing here at Richmond has got some knowledge that they need to spread to everyone else? I mean, what would make you think that all of a sudden, of all the
I'll tell you what.
billion people in the
You bet. I'll tell you exactly what. I have a younger brother who's a transplant surgeon. He's involved in genetic research because he transplants kidneys and livers. And guess what, sir? Not all human bodies accept the new kidney or the new liver. And I can promise you, when my brother discovers the genetic way to manipulate a person's genes so they accept the new kidney and liver, he's going to be going all over the world, encouraging people who have to have a liver or kidney transplant to get the genetic manipulation going so their body will not reject the new organ. That is not arrogance on his part. It is motivated by love for people who have to have a new liver or a new kidney. And I can promise you, sir, I am convinced to the root of my being that Jesus Christ loves you, that he's got heaven out there for you. And I'd be a flaming hypocrite if I didn't tell you about it. That's all I'm saying.
I've got to call you on the symbolism thing.
You bet.
We're talking about hell, how it was described sometimes as fire, sometimes as darkness.
Yes.
Fire can be symbolism, right?
Right.
Where do we draw the line as far as when the symbolism stops? Because you could take that really far.
You bet.
So
You're
I'm
absolutely, that's a
interested
good
in your
question.
perspective about, from a literary perspective and
Yep.
symbolism.
Good.
How much do you view as
Yep.
the truth, and how much of it is symbolism, symbolizing something greater?
Okay. I am
Because
convinced.
since you argued that the 5 major religions of the world are all based on similar beliefs, and that it's all just a matter of symbolism and interpretation.
Oh no, I would not agree with that. No way are the 5 major religions all the same. They are so
Say
contradictory.
they were the same. Similar. Don't try and catch me with words I didn't use.
Fine. There are similarities in ethics, but when it comes to the heart of it, no way are they similar. Now, which one are we going to go? You've raised a few good ones.
They all promote some sort of good morality towards other people.
Good.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a similarity in ethics, right?
Right.
But Hinduism teaches that everything is part of God.
Yes.
If you'd have gone up to Muhammad and told him he was part of God, he'd taken his sword out and cut your head off for blasphemy. But Jesus claimed to be God. Sir, you cannot have deeper contradictions. The nature of God, Hinduism teaches, is all part of God. Islam teaches it's the creator and the creation, as do Judaism and Christianity. And Buddhism is agnostic. Siddhartha Gautama Buddha was agnostic. He never once talked about God. He talked about nirvana.
I mean what these religions teach people.
Ethically. Ethics.
Ethically.
Similarities.
Yes. How to live your life. How
Right.
you should treat other people.
Yes. The golden rule. You'll find in every major world religion.
Yes.
You bet.
Now, go back to the symbolism.
Right.
Where do we draw the line? How much of it is symbolism? How much of it should we believe as truth? Or, as you may say at some points, maybe factual?
Very simple.
Couldn't Jesus
Use
have just
the
been-
same rules that you are taught here at this fine university to interpret. Hopefully,
Yes.
at
And I
Virginia
do.
Commonwealth University, they teach you read in context. You don't
Yes.
rip one line out and say this is what the
but
author
you've already
means.
done that several times today.
No, I have not. No, I have not. I have not. Instead, I have consistently pleaded with you guys, respect literary style. If it's a poem, read it as a poem. If it's historical narrative, read it as historical narrative. If it's apocalyptic literature, like the Book of Revelation, read it as apocalyptic literature. Respect literary style. Secondly, read in context. Just follow those 2 rules. So, when we read
So,
about
I
the
can take
promised
the
land
symbolism
being a
as far
land
as I
flowing
want.
with milk and honey, it doesn't mean that the Jews went into the promised land going like this, because it's milk and honey, sticky honey. No, we understand that that is a figurative form of speech. When Jesus calls his followers to be as wise as serpents and innocent as doves, he's not telling this man and me that we're to sprout wings and fly off like doves. He's obviously using analogy, metaphor,
Yes.
simile to teach.
Yes.
When Jesus says, I'm the light of the world, he's not claiming to be a 100-watt light bulb. He's obviously using analogy to communicate, metaphor.
Yes.
So, respect literary style. Read in context.
But what about Jesus in and of himself? Could he be a symbol?
Well, he clearly didn't claim to be the symbol.
But now
He
you're
clearly
treating him as a
said,
person.
he clearly claimed to be God in human form, and when they picked up stones to stone him, he didn't say, hey, you guys missed the symbolism. He didn't do that. He stood very, very strongly with his claim to be God in human form, to the point of getting nailed to a cross for it. It ain't symbolic. He hung very firmly to it.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this episode. Would love for you to join the family and hit that subscribe button. Also wanted to invite you to our church, Grace Community Church in New Canaan, Connecticut. Hope to see you there.